Hey, welcome back to A Faster Me. This is going to be the major motion crit. It's the King and Queen crit, in Long Beach. I got a special guest with me today, Josh Cagney. Josh is one of my guys that races for me for A Faster Me, and he's going to be racing in the 4-5 race here at the King of Crits. So, what's going on, Josh? How do you feel this race, and what was your mindset going into it?
Yeah, so this was the second race of the season, and the name of the game for me this season is just practicing my patience. Last season, I spent a lot of time on the front doing the work for the peloton, so I wanted to see if I can spend more time in the pack and be a lot more selective with my efforts. Um, and instead of going for preems, trying to get more podiums and hopefully wins.
Got you. When you come into a race like this, what's your game plan? Like, do you have someone, marked, or is it something of more just take care of yourself?
In my experience, most of my draft legal racing has been in triathlons, so I've more transitioned to pure cycling for the first time this season. And with that, most of my bike racing has been in Northern California. So I'm just trying to learn the culture and the people that are out here at these races and hopefully can start targeting people later in the year.
Got you. So, how do you feel about this crit? Like, was it fast? Like, describe the course and what's going on for us.
Yeah, so in this course, if you can see in the top right, there's 4 corners. In reality, there's only 1 corner, which we're going through right now. The other 3 are really wide and sweeping. And we have really the whole road in terms of what we're able to utilize, and we'll see that a bit as the pack bunches up and people are moving up the left side. But yeah, it's really smooth. It's really fast. You got to be careful on those smooth corners because sometimes you'll see some people coming up on the inside. So you just got to make sure that you have your head on a little bit of a swivel, but of course, only really worrying about who's in front of you.
Got you. So since you haven't been doing too many like mass start crits and stuff like that, how many crits have you done?
I'm currently a Cat 4 racer. I believe that I have done no more than 25 over the past couple years. I used crits as training while I was on the junior draft legal circuit. So I spent a lot of time in Cat 5. Recently upgraded to Cat 4 a few years ago, and now moving to Cat 3 hopefully soon.
Yeah, I definitely say you do a good job. You're doing a good job here navigating the peloton, covering an attack here. Man, I know Go Fast was pretty active in this attack. Like, how did you combat their strategies, or did you combat their strategies, or is it something you're just going with the flow?
Yeah, so I have I believe 1 or 2 teammates in this race with me, and I know that they've spent a lot of their time sprinting, and I've also been told from people around the race that this is what Go Fast really likes to do. They like to send 1 or 2 flyers up the road and then use the rest of their team to block. And I knew that if I wanted a chance in a sprint finish, or I wanted one of my teammates to have a sprint finish, I couldn't let them get up the road and keep blocking. So really, as well as just keeping a good position near the front of the peloton, just trying to make sure no one can fly off the front.
Yeah, I'd say definitely you're showing a lot of experience here. Just transitioning from the first Go Fast Riders wheel, I think that was Alex, to transitioning here to Rudy's wheel. Go Fast is in my area, so we know Pat and Holly and Rudy and all the other guys. So yeah, we ride with them, fairly often. So Rudy's really strong. He's definitely a breakaway type rider. And then I know you have Brian and Alex in the race as well, which are all of them are strong. I see Rudy is trying to flick to come through there. Were you willing to come through, or are you guys got any space here?
Yeah, so before that last corner, he tried to flick me through, and I did my best to stay on his wheel because I didn't want to come through. And then on this corner, just to try to get the Go Fast guys to come around one more time, I made sure to take that really wide just to leave them as open as possible. And then here you can see that I'm soft pedaling a bit. I believe someone's coming up on the right again, right there, just because I don't want to spend too much time on the front, putting in a lot of work.
Yeah, that's Brian on the attack on the right side there. It's good to see Brian back out here. I used to race with Brian back years ago. It's probably been 4 years or so. But yeah, a couple years ago, Brian had a pretty bad crash at CBR that really tore his knee up. and he was out for like I think more than a year. So definitely good to see him back. Brian's really strong as well.
Yeah, so here we're just, again, just trying my best to stay in the front of the peloton and really not get swallowed up, as well as trying to stay on the inside of that corner, because I've seen too many people go down, and when people go down in corners, they go to the outside. So just trying to be as thoughtful as I can in terms of positioning.
Yeah, I think you're doing a really good job here, position-wise, staying near the front, transitioning to different wheels. You're doing it really smooth, no abrupt left or right movements, just kind of reading the flow of the race and getting on the next wheel coming through.
Yeah,
So it looks like it's pretty strung out here. Got the speed up just a little bit. What'd you guys average for this race?
I believe we averaged between 24 and 26 for this one. So we were definitely keeping the pace up, but as we can see here, the rider on the left attacked and didn't pull all the way through, and I think a lot of the other riders kind of sensed that as a moment to let up on the gas. So you can see that little bunching. It gets a little bit crowded here up on the front, and I believe this is exactly what the Go Fast people are really looking for when they send their flyer up, seeing that slowdown.
Yeah, I say it pretty much every time in our videos. Anytime the pace gets slow, there's going to be an attack, and rightfully so. That's where you get the most separation when the peloton's going slow, and then you can see it there. I think that may be Rudy going off the left side there. Mm-hmm. Couldn't tell who it was, but yeah, one of the Go Fast guys attacked. Anytime the pace gets slow, there's going to be an attack.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, the name of the game for me right now is just learning patience. So in the past, I already know that I would have been on his wheel immediately and doing a full gas sprint. But this race, I was constantly reminding myself, like, hey, let other people do a little bit of the work. So I kind of let it get a little bit out there. Rider 510, I talked to him after the race, and he was kind of doing the similar stuff that I was doing, kind of just trying to be as patient as he can while still putting in the work when he absolutely had to.
Yeah, your heart rate was up to 180 something a second ago. What do you max out at?
I max out at about 197. I think that's my recent max. But I'm pretty comfortable between 160 and 180. That's typically where I spend most of my tempo and threshold time.
Yeah, that's kind of interesting because I max out at 197 as well, which is weird for me. Just with my age, that's pretty high of a heart rate for me. For someone your age, it's fairly normal. But yeah, it's just weird that we have the exact same heart rate max.
Well, that means you're doing something right.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I'm suffering.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, you guys have a good size also. There's a good turnout. I think it was a good turnout just in general at the Major Motion Crit, and you can see it's only like 57 degrees at the top, so weather was pretty cool as far as you didn't have to worry about overheating or anything, and it wasn't too windy on the day.
No, it really wasn't. We had a little bit of a headwind on this backside, but it didn't play a huge factor in this race, for sure.
Got you. So with Go Fast out front right now, just what are you thinking? Like, are you concerned that it won't come back? It doesn't look like anybody's putting the effort in to chase. And then you got a couple guys from Go Fast sitting up front just controlling the pace. Were you still just being patient, or were you thinking you might have to make a move?
So I won't lie, I was starting to panic right here when I noticed how far ahead they were. But only being 8 minutes into the race, I knew that a 1-2-man flyer, especially in the Cat 4-5 race, wasn't going to hold. So just trying to bide my time and stay near the front and make sure that if there is anyone from Go Fast on the very front blocking, to try to get them out of the way. But really just trying to encourage the peloton to do their thing while I sit back and try to reserve as much energy as I can.
Yeah, it looks like the gentleman in the white kit up front is starting to put in a little hard effort. It looks like he's putting in a good dig to try to run it down.
And you can see the two Go Fast riders. They're near the front. I believe one of them is bridged to the chase. And this is where they have really good team ethic, teamwork together, because once this flyer gets caught, I'm sure one of those two guys is going to send off the front again.
Yeah, and that's just really good team tactics, being selfless. We've preached it a long time, and that's why we race the way we race over here. But yeah, it's really hard to get people to work together and sacrifice for a team, but that's exactly how you do it. block for your teammates, and then if somebody catches them, launching a counterattack is perfect.
Yeah. And there were a couple other teams out there. There was us. Endure Cycling came out with a couple riders, but unfortunately, just nobody has the same capability to execute their team tactics like Go Fast.
Yeah, for sure. No, Pat's been working with them for a long time. So, and even when I used to race, like in Cat 4, they had a number of Go Fast riders back then, and the tactics were pretty much the same. And yeah, if you're not out there with the team, it's pretty hard to combat any team tactics if you don't have a team, because it's hard to organize some of the individual riders to, to mount a chase. And often at this level, a lot of people kind of don't understand the tactics that are being played to begin with.
Mm-hmm. I believe going into here, this is going to be a preem lap, or finishing up a preem lap, and that's why we're so strung out right now. In the future, it'd be really interesting to work with one or two people that I'm comfortable with in the pack and try to form an attack right after the preem lap once those really heavy hitters are gassed from that effort, especially because here would be a really good situation for that as we're coming up on the two flyers that were out front.
Gotcha. Yeah, so right now, it looks like you guys just brought the brake back.
Yeah. Yeah, so I believe those were the two riders that were on the brake, and they stayed on the inside. How would you recommend handling that if you were getting caught in the brake in a corner like that? Would you recommend staying on the outside or keeping that inside line?
You mean if you were the breakaway guys or the peloton?
If you were the breakaway.
Well, if you're the breakaway and you're caught, like you're out front, so you kind of have like the right of way basically. If the peloton's not coming too hard, you basically just want to hold your ground. But me, I like staying to the inside as much as possible. I try not to be to the outside of the pack hardly too often. Sometimes a little bit of desperation sets in and you find yourself floating, like just fighting for a spot to move up. Or if you're not having any luck on the inside, sometimes I'll move to the outside to see if I can find a little space there. But overall, I like to control my own destiny, so I like being on the inside of the peloton.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you really just have to, a lot of people are kind of afraid to be on the inside, but it's really just how you position your bike that kind of protects you a little bit.
Yeah.
And if you see another Go Fast rider went to the front after the attack, just kind of to set the pace on the peloton. I think I just caught a glimpse of me actually warming up to the left there.
Yeah, I believe in the race this Go Fast rider right here is going to be the next one that tries to fly off the front. We should be covering it pretty quickly.
Yeah, and that's Brian there, 503. Yeah, Go Fast has a pretty big team now too, and like I said, Pat's been working with them for a long time now. So, yeah, they definitely are comfortable with their tactics and do a pretty good job with it. It'd be good. Like I think Nick's in this race, but Chris was not here this weekend. So yeah, it'd be good when we have more guys in the race and can maybe deploy some tactics as well.
Yeah. And here we are bunching up once again. We spent a lot of time bunching up on this backstretch in between corners 1 and 2. I don't know whether it was just because it was a little bit of a descent in terms of the grade, or if nobody wanted to face the headwind going into the longer corner. But pretty much every time we were really bunched up on this backstretch.
Gotcha. Yeah, sometimes I think people just show off for the crowd. It's like you're coming by start-finish line, everybody puts a hard effort in.
Right.
And just kind of sits up on the backside.
Yeah. So I saw this guy pull out of the peloton, and I personally didn't really like where I was, just because it stopped getting single file and we started going 2x, 3x. And I was thinking this is just like a really easy pull, or a way that I can more or less soft pedal up to the front of the peloton and be able to slot back in pretty quick.
Yeah, it's definitely best to use somebody else's energy whenever you want to move up. I kind of use the philosophy of when it's fast, just hold your position because it takes too much effort to move up. Anytime it slows down, that's when you want to take the time to move up with the lowest energy possible. And I think that was Ray Rivera with Evoke that started this push up front. I think he's trying to run down the brake right now. And you can see Brian's like second wheel sitting on it, just trying not to let it get any momentum. And,
Right.
as Ray pulls off, Brian didn't exactly block, but yeah, you can see none of the other guys pulled through. So the guy you were following right here in the turquoise pulls through with a pretty good pull.
Yeah, he put in a really good effort right here through the corner. I figured being second wheel, also being so close to the leader, when he starts to give out, I'll take that pull just to close the final gap once everything's said and done, and then drop back and catch a breath.
Yeah, sometimes that's just how it is. Like, a rider like myself, I like to save energy as much as possible. But, if you want to be in contention, sometimes you have to do your own work. And something like this, when you become frenemies with some guys, yeah, you got to pitch in and bring back the break just for a common cause.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, there goes Brian with a monster attack. And I think
Yeah.
Rudy's on his wheel, so they're both trying to go.
Yeah, so on this attack, I was able to catch Rudy out of the corner of my eye coming up the left side. I believe that was Rudy.
Yeah.
And I know that if there's one go fast rider, that's a problem. If there's two, that's a crisis because they'll have those two off the front and they're going to work really well together, and they'll still have one person blocking the peloton. So I decided to lock that down really quick.
Yeah, you did a great job of getting on the wheel. And I think, honestly, when you look back, I think Nick's actually on this attack with you as well.
Yeah, he
Nick
is.
covered it as well. So it would have been pretty cool if you guys could have got off with them and just, made a little pack and all four of you broke away.
Yeah, I believe that was the end of a preem lap as well.
Yep.
So I got that preem, and then immediately shut it down a little bit, just trying to soft pedal, but also maintain that speed so that when the peloton comes by, I don't have to do something crazy.
Yeah, and this late in the race, I think that was a critical move for you to cover that attack because with Brian setting the attack and trying to launch Rudy on a breakaway, Rudy's definitely strong enough to make it from 10 more minutes or whatever to close out the race.
Mm-hmm. So in between turn 1 and 2 here, I noticed that I had another rider on my wheel, and we had another gap between the peloton and us. It was probably 2 or 3 seconds when I first noticed the gap, and I was really excited because with about 13 minutes left in the race, I was thinking, okay, maybe if me and him work together, we could stay away, and unfortunately it just didn't work out.
Yeah, I saw when you look back there was a gap from the peloton, but that's Nick there in front of you, teammate. And I don't know why the guy in black was off to the side. Like, definitely, if you're going to be on the front, you definitely want to be drafting if you can. There's no reason two people should ever just be riding next to each other.
Yeah. So I definitely was super grateful for Nick to come around and have a friendly wheel to hold on to while I catch my breath after having that brief time on the front.
Yeah, it looks like Nick's getting a little tired here. You can whenever a rider starts dipping their head down, up and down, bobbing up and down, usually that means they're getting a little worn out. So Nick should flick an elbow here. You guys are pretty close to running this down, but it looks like he's getting away just a little bit.
Yeah.
Definitely a good effort by Nick, but yeah, just anytime you're losing speed or losing momentum, just go ahead and flick an elbow and let someone else through. Yeah, we should be down to about 10 laps to go now. Maybe 9 or 10 laps to go. They're just roughly a little under 2 minutes a lap. And you can see the peloton caught up.
Yeah, it would have been nice to see the peloton string out like this for a little bit longer for the race, just to keep the tempo up a little higher. I feel like keeping that, like you said, keeping that speed up would definitely reduce the risk that Go Fast is able to get a good jump on the rest of us.
I've seen our arch rival, Crit Wit, right there next to you. He's declared war on a faster me now. No, Crit's a good friend and definitely fun to have him out there. And honestly, Crit's one of the guys that inspired me to make videos a long time ago. I've always made videos, and I've made videos of my motorcycle racing back in the day. But he's one of the guys that used to document all the races and stuff like that. So I used to document my motorcycle races. So, I just kind of transferred that over. But Critwood had a pretty good channel back in the day, and he had to take a little hiatus, and now he's back again. So
he still has a great channel, not back in the day.
yeah, exactly. It's up and running again.
Yeah, and while we were talking about that, there was another Go Fast Flyer, and a Go Fast Flyer, and then someone else moving up to help block. But again, with the time remaining in the race, I wasn't too stressed about it. I kind of really just wanted to bide my time for getting ready for the end game. Like I said, the name of the game for this year, and especially this race, is just being patient and not being the one to constantly burn my matches. Because at the end, in the past, I've just have no matches to burn because I spend them all either chasing down the flyers because I think it's just a lot of fun, and then also spending most of my matches trying to get some preems. But now that I'm a little bit more experienced, the preems don't entertain me as much, and I want to get some hardware.
Got you. And right now, like at this point in the race, with only about 8 laps to go, were you confident that it's going to come down to a bunch sprint, or were you still thinking a breakaway might get away?
I was actually really confident that it was going to stay a bunch sprint, just because with every Go Fast Flyer, that was the main threat that I kept seeing. With every one of those, they would be coming back within a lap. I think the longest flyer lasted 2 laps maybe. So with the amount remaining, I felt, one, if there was a Go Fast Flyer to go, the peloton would definitely be incentivized to do the work for me and catch him down being so close to the end. And then also because Go Fast has the numbers here, I was pretty confident that they were going to switch their strategies from sending flyers to getting an organized lead out going.
Got you. Yeah, the young man right here is pretty strong. I don't know, he goes back and forth, but yeah, when he takes his pulls, he has a pretty good engine.
Yeah, every time I saw him come by me, I knew that was a reliable wheel and a reliable way to get up to the front, because whenever he was passing me, he always seemed to make up a couple positions.
Gotcha. And I like his socks. I have the same socks. Yeah, we're here with a live audience today, so I hear some cackling in the crowd.
Yeah. Makes it a little more stressful for the first time doing this, for sure.
Well, you're doing a great job. No applause, just throw money. Yeah, so we're out at Valley of the Sun right now. We have the team here in an Airbnb, and they're going to head out in the morning for the first round for the time trial, 10-mile time trial. So we thought we'd get a little chance to do this voiceover and get it out. We've been sitting on it for a week, so yes, looking forward to a big weekend.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting.
So yeah, we're definitely down to probably, I'm guessing, maybe 6 laps to go. 5 or 6 laps to go, and you can tell like the body language has changed, and this happens in pretty much every race. Once you get down to like the last 5 or 6 laps, you can just see the urgency and the body language just changes in all the riders.
Yeah, and I know that I start to get really nervous with about 5 laps to go, and it's something that I'm working on. But I think it's just more racing and getting more comfortable with that situation, and in time I'll be able to handle the final 5 laps a lot more efficiently.
Yeah, and if you saw there was a car on the course a second ago, I think there was just a crash a couple laps ago that just got cleaned up. Yeah, I think it was only 2 riders that went down. Not exactly sure what happened, but just on that back straight, there was a crash a couple laps ago. So yeah, like I said, this gentleman here has a big engine. He's putting in some pretty good work here, just setting pace here and getting everything all strung out.
Yeah, and I wasn't I wasn't too concerned being this far up in the field just because there are a couple of laps remaining. And then the Endure person who just went off the front, I hadn't seen him all race, which scared me a little bit. And I let a little bit of a gap open between me and the rider in front of me, which hopefully didn't burn too many matches in my legs. But this is where the pace really started to kick up for the rest of the race.
Yeah, and it looks like we're down to about 4 laps to go now. Maybe 5. I'll try to see the lap timer. Say that all the time. I can never see it, but I think they have a analog one here, and it's pretty easy to spot with the white background and the black letters.
Yeah, so I believe this is where Go Fast started their train. They had that first rider out on the front, and he held his pace for, I can't remember if it was 1 or 2 laps, but he pretty much made sure that nobody else was able to get the speed needed just to pass. And right here, those 2 riders almost pinched me out, but nothing that a little polite, hey, please don't pinch me out, can't fix.
Yeah, and I can tell, like, Brian went to the front here. I think they were a little concerned about that Endure rider. So definitely, like you said, he's starting to ramp up now and just keep the pace high. You don't want any attacks or anybody going on a flyer now in the last couple laps.
Yeah, and spending the whole race on the front, you really start to get to know who's doing the work. And that rider that just fell out of the frame with the red sleeves, I hadn't seen him all day. But as we get towards the end of the race and I start to see riders that I haven't seen up at the front, I start to get really nervous. And those are people that I start targeting for the rest of the race because I know that I've burned matches while they haven't. So just like putting like a warning label on those riders for when I see them because I know they're going to be fresher than I am.
Yeah, and that's a pretty good, a pretty good tactic, pretty good thing to mention because, yeah, that's really what it's about. The person that, kind of has the most energy on the last 2 laps usually does pretty well. It's not always the person that's really active during the race, especially when it comes down to a sprint. Yeah, some of the best sprinters, you don't hear about them the entire race. You won't hear anyone say their name. You won't hear the announcer say their name. And by the time it's over, they're sitting on the top of the box. So, yeah, it's not always about doing work or being seen.
Yeah, and then as well as Go Fast, there's also Team Endure with a couple of riders, which you mentioned. And I believe going into the final lap, it was the Go Fast riders on the front, and then I believe there was 2 Endure riders who were finishing up, and I think they're starting their train right now.
Yeah, it looks like we're going into 1 to go. Yeah, it looks like when you come around, this is going to be the bell lap.
Yeah.
Got the speed up pretty high here, too.
And then going into this race, talking to you and some other athletes, I knew that this race was going to be decided at the final corner, not necessarily on the final sprint. So I knew that the race was to this corner, which definitely changed my outlook on what wheel I need to be on going into it, and kind of just made me put everything that I wanted to do into action just a tiny bit sooner.
Got you. So Brian pulls off right there. His part of the lead out's done. He led for about 1.5 laps, just getting the pace high. And I still think there's Rudy and another rider up front still. I don't know if that's Rudy and Alex, but yeah, the pace is still hot and the lead out still start. I'm still going with Endure and Go Fast at the front.
Yeah. And this is where I got a little bit nervous just because I got pushed off of the wheel that I wanted to be on, and now I'm coming into the final lap with the outside, not where I wanted to be. And then there's that Endure lead out that got set up. So now it's 2 Go Fast on the front, some people, and then the 2 Endure guys. I tried my best to break up the Endure guys just because I didn't want to work against 2 lead outs. So I was doing what I could to try to break up their rhythm while also maintaining the wheels.
Yeah, and you slotted in there pretty good. He came back on you right now on the inside, but yeah, that's just what it's about here at the end. Like, you're definitely going to have to fight to maintain your position, and you don't want to lose too many wheels here.
Yeah. So with this final lap and coming from a triathlon background, I knew that I had legs and that my legs might not be the strongest, but they can last longer than any of the sprinters. So I tried to make sure to go pretty much as early as I could once I saw somewhat of a gap on the inside. And this is that final sprint.
Yeah,
And
that's a good move.
unfortunately, the Go Fast rider that was getting let out jumped maybe a quarter second after me, and I didn't have time to whip around him before that corner, and I just didn't have the legs to close it out for the win. But we were able to push hard and put my head down, and came out second on the day, which is my first podium, and yeah, it was a good day.
Yeah, well, I think you did a great job of racing. Congratulations for the second place, and hopefully we'll get some more of these in the future.
Thank you.